Good morning, everybody. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. David, you mind?
Heavenly Father, we come before you today asking you to watch over this meeting of our commissioners, be with all our county employees as they go about their duties throughout this week, and help our commissioners make the decisions that would be according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning. I'll make a motion that we approved last week's meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we approve the claims in amount of $420,782.27.
I'll second. Motion been moved, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. David, you got anything?
I don't have anything else right now.
Gary, you got anything off the bat?
Nothing, that can't wait.
Burton, you want to go ahead and go?
Burton Harding, County Attorney. Good morning. I'm just here to follow up my my staffing and court issues that I've been talking to you guys about for a minute. I think we're finally at our solution here. Without getting into the whole history of it, I think that where we left off, as I said, that I needed to hire one more attorney to come in, at least part-time, to help us, pick up the slack and be able to make all our obligations in court hearings. I had talked to a lot of attorneys, put out a lot of feelers, and was just not successful in finding someone who was willing to come in. Eventually, what I think we landed on was an even better solution, which is my current assistant, who's Justin Meeks. He works as the assistant county attorney here. He's just assistant county attorney in Bourbon County, and he's a county counselor, and he's got a couple other contracts. He said he was going to resign as Bourbon County attorney and give up a couple of his gigs and come up here and continue to do his job here and take over the job function that I was going to be hiring for, essentially. So I'm going to take on a little bit more. Justin's going to come on and take a lot more. And essentially what I want to do is take that $50,000 that I'd asked for to hire a new attorney. A portion that Justin said that he could make it work. We paid him $42,000 extra. So I'd like to raise his contract by $42,000. Take 8 of that or 7 of that rather, and add that on to mine for the extra duties I'm taking on. And that saves the county having to another benefits package for a third employee. And we're right where we were. I think that's fair enough, but just for perspective, I called Bourbon County and Miami County to see kind of what their numbers were. Our number for payroll right now is about $270,000. If you add in that 50, that would put us at $320,000 for total payroll. Bourbon County's right now is $378,000 or $380,000. Miami County's is $470,000. So we are still, even with that increase, $60,000 or $160,000 less than our neighbors in the district. So I don't want you to think we're being greedy here. I mean, we're still getting by with what we can and well underneath everyone else in the district. And so I think that's a really good solution. I think that's fair, and I think that'll get us through and cover up our issues going forward. So that's what I'd like for the commissioners to approve today.
You guys any input? Jim?
We told him we would work with him.
I appreciate you going out and getting Justin. I appreciate Justin, and I know it's been a struggle all around. So
Sure.
I'm okay with it. If that works for you, and
Sure,
on budget, we'll figure everything else out again.
We can make that work. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Do we need a motion to amend anything, or?
I think we need to do a new contract with him.
Yeah, I can prepare that. Or I think I drafted the last one. So
I'll just pull up the last one and tweak it, and then we'll bring it in, and you can act at that point.
Okay.
That'll work.
When's he want, is he
I think start first part of May, so next week or
Okay.
We're gonna renegotiate another contract in the middle of budget time, right?
Well, yeah, we're gonna write a new contract to cover this change.
So then I could just use the new contracts for my records for payroll with the adjustments that I wouldn't need anything else, I don't think.
Wouldn't think so.
And we've already approved the 50,000 in a motion, right?
I don't think we have.
Or what did we do? Oh, what did we do when you came in the first time?
I don't remember. I don't know if it was a motion. I can't remember, but I told you that I thought for 50 I could get someone in here, and I don't remember if that was approved by motion or not, but I think I at least had the consent of the council that was okay.
Yeah, I don't think you've taken any official action yet. Have it
I
there?
guess official action we took was on the one when we were going to put in
Yeah,
for an entire new term.
right.
So I'm sorry to keep coming back and bugging you guys with it, but I think this is the last of it. I think we got it solved. If we can get this worked out and make it through. So I appreciate you guys very much working with me and being understanding of the changes in court and all that.
So there was a motion back when we were discussing some of this. There was one that died for lack of a second where we specified a salary for Burton and how much to go up to on an assistant. And then there was another one that specified moving Burton to 120, or well, it says for a full-time. It wasn't Burton. We thought you were leaving at the time. 120 for a full-time attorney and leave the salary open for the assistant county attorney until it can be discussed. So,
And then what was it, the following week or 2 weeks later or something, that way you were back in talking to us and
Yeah,
you were proposing,
just adding on that the third attorney
correct?
because we couldn't get someone to come in for full time. So
yeah, and then I just looked at that a week or two later. There's some more discussion, but there were no motions at that time. So.
Okay, so, I mean, if you're in agreement as to what is gonna happen, then there's no point in acting today and then acting again next week to
Okay.
do the contract. I just say, let's bring the contract
Sure.
next week. You act on the contract and
What do you, I mean, just, I know that this is a question you probably can't answer, but what do you foresee your budget? You see an increase in next year? You're going to keep it with this 50,000 across the board?
no, I mean, yeah, I do not foresee an increase in budget for next year. I think that this will absolutely be the same. I think we got the dollar raise you gave everyone, which we all appreciate. I've got my pay is not going to change after, with this. Justin's not asking for more money. This will be the same payroll figure for next year.
All right. So we'll get a contract. Can you come back in next week and visit?
Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. AMR?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Apparently Galen's going to be out of town. So next Monday.
Thank
We
you.
have a big team here. Well, we continue to be a little bit slow, which is good for the citizens and EMS as a whole, as the general health of the county here. We had, in that week period, the last week period, we had 16 page outs, 12 transports, and 2 flight outs.
Everything going good at all your, what do you guys call them, garages?
Shop.
Oh, the stations? Yeah, to my knowledge, right now, everything's doing good. We just got some outdoor furniture for the Station 2. I think Station 1 is now jealous and they want us to get like a picnic table or something like that. So, it is the supper butts where people go out, relax and do their grilling.
Oh, so while he's here, I think you got a copy of the proposed amendment in your email packet.
Should we do that this week or wait till Galen's back or how do you?
Galen is aware that we're gonna do it this week. He didn't get it done. We talked, and in fact, he's gonna be gone 2 weeks. Isn't he?
He said he's supposed to be back on the Monday, the 1st, I think. That's what my email said today.
Anyway, he wanted us to go ahead and act so he could get this run through legal. They've already approved it, but what this amendment does is allow us to be grouped with Allen County when they're going to take over Allen County's ambulance service. Allows us to be grouped with Allen County. It won't really change anything for us except that upon occasion, if Allen County goes status 0, one of our ambulances may float over there, or if we go status 0, one of their ambulances may float over here. That's the only change at this point. Didn't change. There's no change in remuneration, no change in the mileage. We did talk about possibly for the future, when we talk about next year's contract, in order to prevent a significant increase, one of the things we might look at is raising the mileage cap on our ambulances. So just keep that in mind. That's not in this contract.
And it's currently at 225.
Right now, it's at 225. He thought that they could save quite a bit of money if we moved it up to 300. But anyway, but that's just something to think about. That's not, but for the time being, what I need you to do is to approve and authorize the signature on this amendment that made the change that I just described. Nothing else. There's a copy for signature.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment to the emergency ambulance services agreement with AMR and allow our chairman to sign.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
David, when they have, when you've done your thing to it, I need to take that and send it to Galen, or you could send it to Galen.
Here, do I put by Linn County Commission name or Commission Chair name Danny Fuller?
Let me
Or
hear,
I guess the title would be Chair.
agency.
Or just sign my name.
Sign your name on the line, print your name below the line.
Title, okay.
I can get that to him, Gary. If it's-
Okay, that'd be great.
Do you know if an emailed copy will work for him, or do they need one with original signature?
He was expecting us to email it. They may need it original eventually, but
Okay,
he was expecting us to email it so they can go ahead and get it countersigned.
I can scan it in and email it this afternoon.
That will be a benefit to Linn County for sure to have. Now, sometimes when we go to status 0, it's like we can't get Bourbon County to come help because they're busy, and we can't get Miami County to come down because they're busy in their system and all that stuff. But what we have with this type of scenario, guaranteed mutual aid.
Now, this is only finishing out this budget year, right?
This calendar year.
And we're supposed to be in a 5-year contract with them?
We're in year, what?
We're in the third year,
Third
I
year.
think. I think we're about in the middle of it.
You guys want to read that? You're good.
Alrighty. Ready.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Anything
you.
else? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Kevin?
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. Total prisoners in 55 as of this morning. I think we're just about to drop one off at the state prison, so we'll be at 54 today. Total farmed in are 31. I believe we have 13 marshals and 18 Wyandottes. 109 911 calls this past week. Jail contacts were up quite a bit, 5,111. Total calls for service, 724. Total civil service papers served were 12. That was down quite a bit, a little more obtainable this last week than it was the week before. Courts were pretty busy, or getting ready to be pretty busy, serving subpoenas and summonses. At 8 VIN inspections, 14 new cases open, 3 cases closed. 3 vehicle crashes, 110 calls for services for the school resource division. Bailiffs, I didn't have a report of that when I made the report this morning, but that was 127 contacts at the door with 36 calls for service, 9 livestock calls this past week. And this last week, we had 27 of our employees trained in-house for CPR, AED, first aid, and stop the bleed. And Sergeant Clayton Parscale done that training. And today is for Jayhawk Linn is Teachers in Service Day. So our school resource officers for Jayhawk Linn are training today with the teaching staff, and they're doing a class for teacher self-defense at the school. So that's kind of a exciting deal. They'll have a lot of students, as the teachers will be their students today. So kind of a neat thing, but it's about all we had this past week. Any questions for me?
With the weather fluctuating the way it is in mornings and nights, is there everything over there operating well? And
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Just don't know whether to wear short sleeves or long sleeves. That's the biggest dilemma with that. But no, the building seems to be doing pretty good. We had some temperature adjustments last week because we had some of our pods that were, we had some that were getting cool and some that were getting warm. So we adjusted temperature a few degrees to try to make up for that. But I think those are going to be things that we have to do, with any facility. Still, one issue we were having, and it's on the good side, is with humidity control. Our humidity in the building right now is really low. And so we'll have to work on some remedies to bring that back into shape. I know our last humidity check, we were about 33%, and that's a little bit low. But in the scheme of things, like I reported a few weeks ago, that's really good because we're not building bacterias and things like that in the building. So we want it on the low side. We just don't want it that low. So we'll be working on that. But anything else for me, commissioners?
I don't have anything else.
While Sheriff's here, I just mentioned that I've got the last change order in our building project for you guys to sign today. If you remember, our greatest maximum price with the first 18 change orders was $19,244,357.61. This change order, it just gives you back $46,924.91. So these were funds that had been set aside in some various contingencies, were not needed, and so that's reducing your greatest maximum price. So it's change order number 19.
So we had 18 that were,
We had 18 that we had already approved and done.
and 19, only having 19 change orders is
Pretty amazing.
that's pretty amazing to me because my whole entire scope of work.
I think to speak on that, and I think Gary he won't disagree with me on this. That says a lot to our builder, River City, because I don't know too many projects where you end up getting a little bit of money back out of contingencies. Usually that's the first thing it's spent. So I was really proud of them in the way they did their work on this deal. So
And you two, both, you and Kevin both, appreciate you guys doing with River City, and I think it all.
Everybody worked well together, I think.
Pretty impressed with 19 change orders.
So you need a motion to accept change order 19, refunding
$24.91.
I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 19, which returns us $46,924.91. Motion moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See where you find there, Dan?
Under right here, under.
Yeah. No, that's, I knew, you signed right there. Where's this thing?
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hagwald, Linn County Rural Fire and Emergency Preparedness. I sent out the run totals for last week. We had 10 incidents and brings our total for the year up to 151. On the fire department side, I would like permission to hire Guy Kinder for Station 930 out of Centerville. That'll bring their total up to 7 out of 15 people on that station. And have that contingent on him passing pre-employment physical and drug screening.
I'll make that motion. We'll hire Guy Kinder as a volunteer fireman.
I'll second. Motion moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the emergency preparedness side, we have a National Weather Service coming down tomorrow at the Pleasanton Community Building at 10 o'clock. It's for public officials. We sent out a lot of people that's involved with the LAPC. We sent it out. They're coming down, just kind of give an overview of what the weather service can do, different services that we may not be taking advantage of, as far as event planning and stuff like that. So they'll be down here for a couple hours giving a talk about that. So if you guys would like to attend, it's kind of informal, but be some good information. We did have the LAPC meeting last week, went over some of the community events and different things that could cause problems throughout the year with large groups of people gathered up and around. Other than that, I have nothing else. So unless you guys have questions.
I don't have anything. Thanks, Randy.
No, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Amanda?
Good morning, Amanda Snyder, Linn County Health Department. Just a couple things for you today. Tonight is our Health Advisory Board meeting. I believe as of right now, we have 5 members. If they all show up tonight, can we still proceed with the meeting?
Yeah, I think
You'll have a quorum.
your quorum is,
7,
oh, is it? No, your total,
or total 7.
total. seven.
Yes,
Quorum is 4.
4. Okay,
So if you have 4,
okay,
Is
perfect.
it what time? 5?
7.
7, sorry.
And if any of you guys would like to attend, it's an open meeting, so we'd be happy to have you. Our nurses today are at Jayhawk for their in-service day. They are providing biometric screenings to the Jayhawk district employees. So they're doing a blood draw, checking height, weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, figuring their BMI for them. That's a service that they asked if we could provide, and we can. So for a low cost of $33 to $35, they're having all of that completed and not having to take off a day to go to their physician to have that done. Other than that, I just need an executive session for personnel for probably 10 minutes.
All right. You guys anything for her?
I don't need that.
We'll probably go ahead and take care of Jessica, and then we can probably go into Jessica. Do you hear vibrating?
What?
Like vibrating? You hear that?
no, must be.
Good morning.
Red.
We had an Economic Development Committee meeting this last Wednesday. We looked at 2 different grant applications. The first one was our Youth Employment Grant for 2023. We had 19 companies apply and 31 positions were submitted on grant applications. So we have 10 positions to award. So I think it's exciting. The number of applications and the number of positions grows every year. So I think it's exciting to see that that word get out. The 10 companies that we approved grants for were Barker's Corner Automotive, Black Elk Coffee Bar, Coleman Hardware, Dreamscape Innovations, People's Telecom, Rocky Sons Farm, Stainbrooks, Travis Stevens Performance Horses, Umfenauer Farms, and Wade Remodeling. And we also approved, we have 2 alternate grantees, Double K Construction and Sugar Valley Lake Homes Association. The 10 companies that were selected have until May 15th to hire their position. If they are unable to fill that, then we will step the alternates into those slots so that we can try and go ahead and fill all 10 of those. So we were very excited about that.
And what
response.
again, what does that pay for? That pays,
Okay, so it's 10 weeks over the summer of a youth that lives in Linn County between the ages of 16 and 21. And we reimburse at the end of the summer, we reimburse $4 an hour up to 30 hours a week for 10 weeks. So the grant max is $1,200 per company. The company has to pay the youth at least $8 an hour. They can pay more, they can work more than 30 hours, but we will reimburse up to $1,200.
how did you guys come up with the people you picked?
We have a matrix. I sent out all the applications to all 9 of my committee members. They all voted. We discussed it in our meeting on Wednesday.
So is there, like, next year, if we do this every year, right?
We do.
Can we get more positions, or how does that, do you apply for more, or how does that work?
So, I mean, if you all are open to adding positions, we can discuss that at budget time. I would love to add a few more because we do have that number grows every year. 2 years ago, we bumped it from 8 to 10, which did help. But if you're open to it, we can discuss that at budget time. I would love to, yes.
Because it comes out of your budget.
It comes out of my budget, yes. We also had one childcare grant application. This was the new grant that we established last month. It's up to $250 for a licensed childcare provider. It's a reimbursement grant. They can use it for supplies, educational materials, books, toys, classes for themselves because they have continuing education hours they have to keep up with for their license. We awarded Jennifer Johnson, who has a daycare in Pleasanton, the first childcare grant. She purchased a covered sandbox setup, toys, sand, all that for her kids to have a place to play outside that's in the shade. And she also is funding a training class with that. She's turned in all of her receipts. She ordered her stuff over the weekend. So we were very excited that we had an applicant for that. And I am still waiting to hear back from the Aviation Department of KDOT about the airport questions that we discussed. They were, the lady that I was talking to is waiting on her legal department. So it might be a little while.
Okay.
That's what I have for today. Do you all have anything for me?
I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you get me a list of the ones?
Yes, I will email it to you.
Sean, you ready?
Yes.
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. Have the culvert bids. We're looking this time, and the bids should reflect that some of the bidders bid on plastic culverts on the smaller sizes. So we're asking that you open them and return them so we can do qualifications and find out between the steel on the larger sizes and the plastic what the best options are, because there is no one set option in these.
Can you explain to us how the culvert thing works here in Linn County if you call and you need a culvert put in? Do we replace, if it's existing, we replace it, correct?
Well, to begin with, if you want an entrance for a residence or a field entrance, and there is no culvert or entrance there, you contact us, you fill out an application, we send a foreman out, we look at the entrance. The foreman then puts the appropriate paperwork after it's placed with GIS so that we can log that entrance in our mapping system. And once that culvert's in place, unless there is some overt negligence that I'm unaware of that we've had in the past, we replace those after the initial installment.
They pay for the initial installation.
That's correct.
What do we charge them per culvert? Do you know? Is it
Is it $250?
Do we cover our cost on what we buy them for?
Let's say it's 3.
Is it 3? It may have went up from last year. I thought originally when I was first here, it was 250, but we may have brought it up. But does it incur the cost?
Thought it paid for the culvert and then we put the gravel on it, don't they? That's what I thought.
I would have to check the pricing, but I think you're pretty much correct on that.
I think the landowner pays for the culvert and then the load of gravel goes on it from the county. I thought.
It's 250 plus price per foot and size of culvert.
Okay. So that's 250 plus the price per foot on the culvert and the matching the size of the culvert. So depending on the size and the length of the culvert, the 250 would be the install and the price per culvert's reimbursed or recovered by the county from the landowner. While you're pulling those apart, and I think Danny's already noticed this, Harry made some movement in the south shop as far as grader operators. Now Don Fish will be working in the area by Pleasanton, Prescott area, and he intends to backfill Don with JR in his area.
And I've got a few phone calls that were very positive about what Don Fish has been doing over there, so I appreciate you guys' effort and what they've been doing. So Sean, at the 250, are we covering our costs as a county to, I mean, I don't think we should be making money off it, but I think we should be covering our costs at the 250 of the install.
With them paying the culvert length price, basically the price of culvert based on its length and size, and then 250 for the installation, I can't see how we're not right at covering any cost, even if we have to move equipment to do that.
Want to read these off?
Yeah.
Got J&J Drainage Products out of Hutchinson, Kansas for a total bid price of $55,944.26. And then metal.
Price is delivered or?
No. Says FOB rate on buyer. And then $53,386.30 from Metal Culverts Inc. out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
I'm sorry, what was that amount again?
$53,386.30.
Thank you.
Was that for steel?
Some of them did on the galvanized and then some on the plastic too, I guess.
Correct.
I've got one from Wilburn Sales for the galvanized. It's 41,676, 29 cents. And then the, like the plastic, their bid was $35,147.50.
I got one for Olathe Windwater Company for $39,808.25.
Plastic.
And that's plastic only, it looks like. And then for Contact Engineering Solution, for steel or galvanized, $42,933.96 and no bid on plastic.
We got one from Con Mat direct bid is $38,145.
What'd you guys initially ask for? Galvanized and plastic prices?
Yes,
You'd have to go back to and get some, I guess we'll just let you qualify.
well, we only ask for plastic on certain smaller sizes. We're gonna have to go galvanized for the larger pipe, but we need to look at the comparison between the two and the freight and see which one.
It's like, it's just for the plastic, I believe, up to 24 inch.
We'll give those back to you and let you look over them. You give them the hot real quick?
Okay. Side note on the airport, when we get ready to do our auction of equipment that we're piling up at the south shop, I intend to add to the list of equipment that we're going to ask to auction off the airport car. Since I believe we're moving towards that direction and we don't have a use in the fleet for it. The photo that I gave you on your walk around at the landfill, we talked about safety concerns. That is a window between the tipping floor and the recycle area. You'll notice we just took an existing cutout that had plywood covering it. We put a 2x4 framework inside the window and put 2 sheets of Lexan in it, one on each side, giving a view of the tipping floor to the operator, moving the button switches behind that and giving the operator a safe place to stand while working that. They also moved the pressure gauge so it's in line of sight. It's right there with the controls. The only thing that we'll need to do in the future is I'll have to get with IT, because that operator standing now in the next room doesn't have a clear vision of that open door when a truck is in there and backed up. They won't be able to see the front gate as easily when C&D haulers come in. So we're going to have to put a monitor up there so that they can see the scales and the entrance, but that shouldn't be a large issue. We'll get to work on that next.
Looks like a good solution.
I have estimates on, or a new estimate on the tipping floor repairs after our walk around, and also an estimate on the container that we asked for from J.R. Kerr.
Is it per container? Like, or how does?
He gave a price on one container, and this is not a repair. This is a totally new container, painted and ready to go within 30 to 45 days for delivery.
You guys want to go ahead and talk landfill a little bit?
Sure.
Is this something that I need to read out since we're only acquiring direct bids from one vendor, or how would you like me to do that?
If, okay.
And these are estimates.
Price. Is that determines what we. Yes, that's, you can do a single source on this.
Go ahead and read.
What's the dollar figure on the single source?
It's $50,000.
Yeah.
That's still.
And these are estimates only at this time. They're not direct quotes. But if you'd like them, I'll go ahead and give them to you.
There's a 6 month, what is it, about a 6 month wait? Is that what they said?
Yes, if on the other contractor that we've used, or company we've used to build the containers, there's been approximately a 6 month wait for
There's
those
special
containers.
there's special rear end on those that have, right?
Yes, that marry up with the compactor itself.
And with, I guess you can go ahead and read what the details are.
I think so.
The new estimate for the tipping floor after the discussion about reducing the project would be 16.5. And the container estimate is 10.5.
I think he proposed to use a heavier steel on it too, didn't he? Do you know?
He proposed to use a heavier steel than what could have been used. He wasn't able to go look at what exactly they used on the ones. But of the two options, yes, he was proposing a heavier steel.
So we went out last week, ended our meeting at the landfill, and we got everybody talking. We had a really great meeting, I thought. We all worked together and got a bunch of details. And how do you guys feel? Do you feel that it's necessary to have the compactor there and to accept commercial debris or commercial household trash? I talked a little bit, and I think we have 2 haulers that dump there, I believe. And one of them is, I believe, is waste management. I just didn't know if there was a rhyme to reason of why we continue to take it, and it's not a moneymaker for us at all. It sounds like our manpower there, it takes a lot of manpower to do it, and we're looking to spend probably around $1 million to get a building and a operation going there for that only. And then we have
But we were also going to be taking our trash out of our compactors, bringing it there.
Right, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, would it be more beneficial to continue on an idea of building a brand new building out there, or we're saving money to go into this new landfill and continue just to drive down there and put all our focus on just taking our trash straight out of the county down there and not putting it, or not having this here, spending $1 million.
Well, I mean, we're not spending $1 million on this here.
Well, not a new one, a floor. I mean, if we build a building.
Now, is it right that when we go to the C&D, there's mixed loads come in there and we have a dumpster on the hill that actually waste trash, household waste trash goes in there and comes back to the tipping floor?
That's correct. In order not to violate our permit for C&D, there is a open top container at the top of the hill where you back up. And those operators that are, or persons that are dumping their C&D can throw their household waste over into that roll-off, which is later taken back down the hill when it's full and dumped on the tipping floor and loaded.
Okay.
So they sort it, but then we
bring it back to the tipping floor. There's that container, and then from my discussion with Al, there's cleanups and other things that the tipping floor itself and the compactor may still need to remain in operation there, but not for, if we decided not for commercial use, we would still use it for the landfill's purpose.
So I think the question on spending the money on the tipping floor all comes down to what is our big long-term view of this? Are we going to continue with our trash compactor sites and everything that way?
I think you're talking about the individual ones around the county.
Correct.
I think that's a massive asset to the county, and and we're providing them with a free trash service, which is huge, and it's, according to the engineer, he's never seen them before. It's kind of a rare deal, and I'm scared that we're going to be putting a lot of money into those in the next 8-10 years, just because of the age. I would love to keep that. I mean, I'd love to keep that, and then my idea, just thinking out loud, is eliminate the one here at the landfill, because we already have one in Prescott.
But there are people out there who are paying for trash service,
Yeah,
and we're still charging them on their taxes
yeah,
for trash service.
and they're bringing, and we're getting.
And that's where I guess I'm looking at it from the perspective of,
Every business in Linn County hires somebody to haul their trash down there, so they're paying double.
yes. And maybe our solution to this is not that we stop taking the commercial haulers, is that we start beginning the process of moving toward having the commercial haulers And I'm not talking about closing our compactor sites now, but in the future, I think that's the way this is gonna go more than that. And so being able to have the commercial haulers coming in and setting up that line of business where they're paying and we're breaking even on that, them dumping there, we're loading it onto a semi and hauling it over to a landfill. You know, I think that's the reason that we would look at investing the $1.2 million.
Yeah, and I, I didn't think of the, business side of things with dumpsters. I never thought of that, but yeah, it just,
Well, and it's not just business, there's personal people that
A
also,
lot of personal, people out of the country just have their dumpster and don't even mess with the trash compactors. They just
what
have
I'm
it.
scared of is the long-term plan there is, when we have putting the repairs and then building a new operating system. And then our next big issue is the sales, which is going to be $1 million project too in itself. And then we have, then we got to consider all the contract or compactor sites, all the mechanicals there. That's another potential issue.
and what I'm saying is that the proposal that we have from Pfefferkorn is moving us toward eliminating the compactor sites, that we won't have that expense because when they stop being useful, we'll be transitioning operations to more of a commercial. And you'll be paying for your trash service and we'll be eliminating that part out of our budget. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but the commercial haulers do pay
That is correct. They
at
pay
the rate
they pay a tonnage fee on the tipping floor
But
when they dump.
Are we making anything on it? I mean, are we?
but
paying
we set the rate.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Are we comparable anywhere else? I mean, Waste Management owns their own landfills and they're dumping in Linn County landfill. I don't understand that.
Where are their landfills?
They're all over. They're huge.
I know they're huge, but
As far as the,
asking where the closest one, I mean, it can be a proximity issue if they're needing to.
What do we charge per ton? Is it 40 something dollars? Do you know?
I'll have to look it up. If I quote it, I'm going to be wrong. But it may be in the study that you have.
Do you know what the tonnage is at like Garnett?
Waste Management, Seniors Landfill of Michelle.
So off of 435.
Wow.
So Oak Grove, before our surcharges and everything else that they were tacking on, our contract was $31.50 per ton down there. I don't the, that's $38 for a total gate rate. I don't see what
And I don't see
we're charging.
that we evaluated the cost of what we're taking in versus what we transport in that aspect. And if I'm going by memory, I'm going to tell you it's going to be relatively $40 a ton that we're taking in on tipping floor fees, and whether or not that pays the cost to reload that off the tipping floor,
And haul it.
then haul it for the man hours and the fuel. I cannot answer that, but I cannot think it's that favorable.
All of it's coming from Linn County, or is it?
Well, I think that's what's hard is, and, and Al said, he said that takes two people to do that. And, I was talking to him and he said he's kind of short on manpower because he said he's just kind of ramped up over the last, 3 or 4 years. That he said it's kind of hard to keep up with that. And, to look at everybody's load that's coming in or try to figure out, I don't know. I mean, do we make our prices higher, more competitive to stop that type of stuff or what? I mean,
We don't take construction debris from outside the county, right? We're not supposed to, right?
I've only got one individual or one company that I have to call that we suspect that may be occurring, because it's cheaper for them to haul roofing materials to us than where they're at in Missouri. And I've yet to contact them because the season hasn't started to have that discussion with them. But I believe Al said last year they were in 2 to 3 days a week during the summer and said that they put all those roofs on in Mound City and Pleasanton.
I mean, all they got to do is pull up there and they get asked, and they say, "Yeah, I'm working Pleasanton,"
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do we raise our prices so that we are trying to flip a profit now and not be as concerned about it as the construction debris coming out of county or like Hume? I mean, that we're making a profit off of it. I mean, I don't know how we police.
Well, this one's a pretty obvious one, but as far as raising the prices to a gate fee plus a tonnage fee or anything of that nature, we need to consider what you're talking about with the household, that the taxpayer here has already paid a tax in order to fund the project. How much do we divert the commercial stuff away from us by bringing up rates? Because those are the people that already have tried to help fund the project are going to be the people that can't pay those commercial rates.
I mean, maybe we think about, we have a trash compactor there and we have one in Prescott. What if and we're paying, Al top dollar and, those guys top dollars compared to like what the Pleasant sites and the community sites are paying their people. What if we start charging for the household trash to be brought here? Because we do allow all these free sites around the county. That would help. I'm just trying to figure a way out to help pay for cost of this entire operation. You guys know what I mean?
Yep.
How do you feel about that? We have 2 free dumps within a few miles of each other. What if the one at the landfill, we start charging a competitive price to dump your household trash there? And if
To
people don't like it,
discourage people from dumping at the other.
no, well, to have them discourage them from dumping here and taking up our manpower to mess with that free trash service when we pay. Well, we already have it budgeted to go to the other side, you know what I mean? For free.
The largest materials you would see, other than just someone stopping in with a couple bags in the back of their truck, would be you bought a property, you cleaned up a relative's home, something of that nature. These are not repetitive events. So if you're talking about making that a commercial floor only and charging at that location, it might be more feasible to send just the average household user down to Prescott and making that commercial only. It may be doable, whether that's your decision or not.
I think it's more of an Al and the guys that operate it. We need to talk to them and ask them what they think because they're the one dealing with it. But I don't know.
Just in your discussion, something to think about, with the amount of the total solid waste budget this year. And not all that's gonna be related to household trash, and I don't know where you break out that percentage. But if you use the whole amount, it takes about 2.25 mils on the taxes to fund that department. So on $100,000 house, that's roughly $26 a year that somebody would be paying on their taxes.
Just a lot of things to think about and consider and figure out which plan we like the best.
Right.
And I don't know if what I just mentioned is the best plan. I just want to throw everything out there and make sure that we're considering all options and, you know, what is best. And I just think we should, I don't think it's been ran like I guess can't really run it like a business, but I think we should be trying to get a cost out there. And I think by having a trash service, just, like me taking my trash out there for free, and we're taking up, having the back end there, and then the guys have to go over here and mess with the switches and doing all that. That's just a lot of time and effort that I think, we have all the tires that still need cut. It's just a massive operation, and those guys are running pretty wild, I believe, from what I've seen, but.
And here's just, at the rate we've been bringing money in for solid waste, which some of that is CD landfill fees. This would be the 21 actual, was just over 200,000. So that's gonna knock about 2/3 of a mil off of that amount I just gave you, because we're already offsetting it that much with income.
That's what the cost of keeping our cells open and everything.
Yeah, I'm looking at the whole solid waste budget, so I really would not have an idea on how to break out how much of that is for household trash.
So right now, as of right now, we have to consider fixing the existing
At 16,500.
and then continue to plan for a dump or a tip and floor behind there. We came up with a pretty good plan, I thought, you guys, behind the existing, relocating the scales, doing all that good stuff. And then and on top of that, we got to figure out, we got to do all the study for the sales to raise those a little bit, right?
I spoke to the engineer from Terracon last week, who's doing the engineering for the cell expansions. And he was out of state at the time, but would like to meet with me to go over any of your questions so he can prepare to come in and speak to you and give you not only an idea of the cell expansions, but where he perceives your best options for new cells and kind of help with the planning of that. But he does want me to get with you, take in any of your questions, and then bring those to him. So if you have those,
Is there any way he would get him to come meet with us and then we get
He-
in here and we have a big.
he does want to meet with you, but he first wants to meet with me so that he can prepare for that meeting. So if you have questions that are relevant to him and I meeting so that he can prepare, you need to get those to me so I can meet with him and he can, he doesn't want to show up and not have the information available to you.
Right, and then have to go.
How many acres are the cells on the east side of the road? How many acres that we're using? Anybody know?
I can look it up. So I know there's.
I believe it's going to be in the neighborhood of 10 acres, but I can't tell you exactly what it is.
And there's a lot of stuff we got to take into consideration too, like being close to water and streams and stuff like that, right? I mean,
Accessibility, crossing water areas. There's going to be some concerns as far as where we move next. Okay.
So how do you guys feel about if we, got him our questions in the next week or so, and then he got them over to him, and if we set up a big meeting with maybe our engineer that formulated these plans, Al, maybe one of other of his guys, you, us, and really try to get some answers.
That, I can do that, but you'll have to understand that me going to the engineer or going to Terracon, he's going to meet with me on his time. But when he comes here, there will be a cost, a travel fee along with the plan we've asked him to do. So there will be added fees for site visits. So
And like Pfefferkorn, we have his report, we have his information already.
So, yeah, he's.
I mean, he's saying it was gonna take us 465,000 to rebuild our existing transfer station. We're talking about getting it operational for 16.5.
Joyce pulled the number on the tonnage commercial rates at our tipping floor are $45 a ton.
How many ton did we do last year?
I had that number.
So that's the existing landfill, I believe.
It's on an email.
It looks like across the street from the landfill, we have is it 116 acres? Does that sound right?
Across the street to the west.
That's what.
That sounds appropriate for the size of land I saw, but
Okay. So the 16.5 makes it where we can continue operations and not be worried about the structural soundness of the current building as we're doing it right now, right?
correct. That keeps us in business as usual.
And we were, 20
25.
when we started,
So we've trimmed back that way in case we're not continuing on. If we do pivot and move toward the new walking floor trailers and stuff that way, we're not spending an exorbitant amount of money on our current operations, but we got to have this in place to keep going,
right.
right?
Commissioner Johnson, the answer to your question was last year in 2022, we took in 319 loads on our tipping floor. The tonnage was 1,082 tons, and we received $47,460.40 and paid $33,156.46 at the site to tip it at the next floor. So the difference between the 47,460 and 33,156 was what we're having to offset for mileage, fuel, and reloading it.
At 8 ton at the most, that's a lot of trips.
Well, that's why he's saying we could save 91,000 annually by consolidating to the new operation. By using the walking floor trailers and bringing all our trash from the compactors directly to that site, to the landfill, and then transporting it that way. That's $91,000 annually that can be saved
And that's considering everything.
just by consolidating that. We've got the other, if we switch.
Switch landfill. And what are we predicted to spend on opening the cell? Do you know?
No, I don't know The cost, because the cost is going to include engineering and then the dirt work. And until we have the engineering, won't know what the dirt work will cost.
So right now, we've allowed 25,000, is that right? For the study to raise the sales, or what was that? Didn't we have, is that right? But that doesn't include no labor to do anything, correct?
That's correct. The engineering study just covers the engineering of that process and I believe the permits.
And we're probably looking at another 100, is that what we paid, 100, what did we pay for the last seal, David?
Well, I believe Terracon believes we're going to save money because the cover layers that are on the cells that have not been closed permit wise, but have been covered to drive over, that may be used to bring up the elevation. So materials being hauled in will be lessened by that, but how much, I don't know.
At the same time, we're gonna have to get something going across the street or somewhere else on top of the cost of engineering and labor to move.
We'll have to start the engineering process, yes,
And just to do the existing cells, we spent 25,000.
for the engineering, yes.
So we probably safe to say it's gonna cost us over 100 for the engineering to open a whole new site across the road if we did.
I don't know that it would cost that much. I would think it would be kind of relative to what we're paying now unless we planned out the engineering for a large operation or multiple cells at one time.
Well, is that what you guys are thinking across the street? I mean, is that what we need to start considering?
I think when we meet with Terracon, they're going to give you a plan to go further east rather than west so that you stay on the same side of the roadway. Their engineer believes it may be more beneficial to keep everything there, not move the operation, and mitigate the waterway to get across to the next open area. And from his conversation, that's what he wants to relay to you.
And that's what I'm thinking when I look out there as well, because we've got waterways on both sides of the road. So we're going to be dealing with it one way or another, whether we move across to the west or whether we stay on the east.
Oh, I think it's going to be more beneficial to have that discussion when he gets here because he's going to speak intelligently from an engineering standpoint where
There's 118.
I would be guessing. Commissioners,
And we've used 10 of it.
Is that what we've used? But that 118 goes way back. I mean, there's huge hills and everything behind it.
well, I believe the sheriff used part of it for a range. We used part of it. We're 180 from each other on the property.
That's
But
on the very backside.
yes, but what's usable in between, that would all be up to the engineer because at some point, continuing east is going to become cost prohibitive from where we're sitting. Where that point is, I would rely on the engineer to tell me.
I think there's a lot of questions and a lot of conversation that's gonna have to go into this and make sure we're picking the right route.
I agree.
So would you guys want to do like I don't know where we start. Do you guys want to do like a workshop with Owl and one of his guys and Sean and us?
So do we need to wait for the engineering?
If you can come up with the questions you want resolved from the engineer, I can meet with him and then I can schedule a time for him to meet with you.
So we want to come up with questions for the engineer?
I think so. I think we should bring Alan here and we all talk to him in person and figure out, I mean, he's been down there a long time and, he's the expert on it, really. I mean,
If you want to use Al to come up as a resource to come up with those questions, that's just the process after you get me what you want me to meet with Terracon and bring back to you. From you, whether you do it individually or you meet with Al, after that process, I need a list of questions to meet with that engineer so that he can prepare a meeting and come back and be informative to you.
could we prepare a meeting with Al? He might be able to answer a lot of our questions and push us in the right direction with his knowledge.
I can get him on the agenda and we can come in and do a work session.
You guys good with that?
I'd just like to know what's available there on the east side that we can use as far as ground, how much more we can use. One question I'd like to.
I will get that started.
And that's a question, I guess, that it's in that $25,000 study and survey we're doing, right? I mean, they'll be able to answer that, right?
They're doing the expansion. They're not, they have looked at this because they are, obviously, they are the people we would probably turn to, so they're going to offer us their best opinions and point us in the right direction. But as far as doing an engineering study for it, no, that's something we'll have to do at a later date.
What are we paying 25,000 for then?
Engineering,
I don't know.
Permitting.
I'm trying to be an engineer. If we ask him, please, can we do that? Can you talk to Al and get him?
I will get that scheduled. Commissioners, we were scheduled at 10:05 to bring Johnny in and talk about your cost share program and noxious weeds for the year. And then after that, Todd at 10:15 was supposed to have your asphalt bids. So those have been qualified and we can go on to selecting the bids for those.
Are we gonna do anything as far as, because we asked for the bid from JR on the new containers so that we could start doing rehab on the existing containers? Are we gonna take any action on those things?
I think we ought to go ahead and move on and fix the tipping floor, because it's a problem.
Fix the existing?
Get it right now, get it back. We gotta keep
The
it so-
16.5 in it.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be over a year, probably two, before it's ever even.
Be a long time before you
Even
get
further
the
than
other
that.
operation going.
So for 16.5, that will do the repairs necessary out there to make it
That we
safe
asked for.
from JR.
Those are the repairs that you asked for, yes.
That was just an estimate, right?
That is an estimate. That's not a firm number.
Ask him 15,000. Gary, is that okay? Can we make a motion to do that?
Yeah, as long as your motion makes it clear that you understand it's an estimate, that you're going to authorize him to proceed with the understanding that he's estimated it would take about 16.5.
I'll make a motion that we continue on with portable welding with JR Kerr, to do the repairs necessary on the existing tipping floor we have at the landfill in Prescott for a bid of approximately 15,500.
16,
Or, yeah, 16,500, sorry. And then the containers, we're gonna just hold off on it for a minute.
Is that what we need to do, or do we need to be?
do we have any idea what the container costs from the other company 6 months down the road, or does anybody, do you know?
No, we do. The only thing we can compare is 5 years ago and their pricing, which was somewhat lower, but 5 years worth of difference, the rates and the timeline.
Can we go ahead and get a price from them on the 6 months out?
I can accomplish that this week, yes.
Okay, I'll second the motion on the tipping floor repairs.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, just as a side note to this, as part of this process, we're going to need to shut down during that week and clean up the week before, like a Friday. We're going to have to go in there, pressure wash that area, clean it all up, get it ready to be worked on, and then we will push out. As soon as I get with JR, we'll pick a date, and then I'll come back to you and we'll try to publish what week we're going to be down. But that tipping floor will be down for a week while these repairs are done.
And that won't affect our sites because we're hauling them directly.
That won't affect the sites. All it will do is affect commercial that week on that tipping floor. Anybody that comes there will have to divert them to one of those sites.
Okay.
And you'll get us a price on the box from the other company for the 6 months out this week.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a compactor in the deal, on a bid auction. Johnny, you want to go ahead and come on up? What if you build would utilize or works dumpster, put the bracket up and utilize the door on it, that'd save a lot of money. If you plan on building a entire next system.
Good morning.
Sorry, Johnny, we're running a little behind.
That's all right. I'll try to get through this real quick then. What I'm here for today, Johnny Taylor, Noxious Weed Director for Linn County, and want to go over the cost share program this morning. I know several people are anxious for us to get this started. So I'm going to start with just reading this first page, the Linn County Voucher Program for Cost Share Chemicals. The county weed director will issue triplicate vouchers to landowner or applicator before the chemicals are purchased from the retailers. Vouchers must be signed by the landowner or applicator before they are valid. The county will keep the white copy of the voucher. The landowner or applicator will take the voucher to a retailer and use it to obtain a discount on the chemicals described on the voucher that he is purchasing. The retailer will keep the yellow copy of the voucher. The retailer must sign the yellow copy of the voucher in order to be paid. The retailer will write up an invoice showing the credit amount of the voucher. The retailer will send the yellow copy of the voucher and a copy of the invoice to email costshare@linncountykansas.com or mail to Noxious Weed Department, 306 Main Street, Mound City. The vouchers and invoices will be turned over to the Board of County Commissioners for approval, and the dollar amount on the voucher will be paid back to the retailer. Checks will be mailed to the retailers at the county's next regular payable cycle. If the landowner or applicator does not use official control methods in applying the chemicals, or he applies the cost share voucher chemical to a non-noxious weed, the Board of County Commissioners may refuse to pay the voucher, and the total cost will be paid by the landowner. And then we've got a list of the approved chemical retailers. Beechner Grain in Lacine or Mound City Ag, Ag Choice in Blue Mound, Stony Point Seed in Fontana, Simplot Grower Solutions, Wellsville. If the purchaser wishes to use a voucher issued by Linn County at a retailer other than those listed above, the retailer must call the Public Works Office at 913-795-2229 before the purchase is made. If the retailer is not able to call the Public Works Office, the county has the right to refuse to pay the voucher. I just wanted to touch on that last part. So basically, these vouchers can be used at any retailer of the choice of the resident, but they will have to, if they want to participate in the cost share program, that retailer would have to call here and get set up with Joyce. There's some information that she needs from them to get them to set up, so then they're able to.
Vendor? What's that?
They said you can like an approved. Yes, exactly. Because I already have some, like, that's the thing. They can go to their choice. Sometimes people negotiate quantities, or sometimes different retailers have a product in another area that maybe one of our retailers here locally don't carry. So sometimes I want to go.
How do you determine the products that we will pay for?
That's on the next page. Good question, Danny. We'll move to that, the Linn County cost share price list. So what I did is all of those that are our local vendors, I consulted with them and have them send me a list of either what they carry or what they sell the most often. I know that, Jason, you asked about Durcor. We've added that to the list. So basically, that very last 2 pages determines the Kansas Department of Agriculture approved herbicides. So there's a list of those. And I, with the help of some of the vendors, got a lot of the trade names. You'll see the very first column is active ingredients. Those are the scientific names for those. And those aren't the ones we're usually familiar with. We're usually familiar with the trade names. And so that's why I put those on there. And the last column is the noxious weed treated. So that's just something that either I or the residents can refer to this page. And what I presented to you this morning, those pages will be given out to any residents that come here to the annex to inquire about the cost share program, or that's what I'll give them if they call and I go meet with them so they can have all this information.
Should we put that up on our website, or do we?
Yes, we're going to work on that also. The last thing that I had is, and I put it there before you, Danny, was there's a declaration, a resolution to set a cap on this program. And it's up here on the front of you, Danny, by the mic. I just gave you guys that one if you wanted to take care of that and then sign that, and then we could pretty much make the cost share program official and get off and running. And any questions, they can feel free to call me. The one big change I did want to announce to everybody is last year we had somebody here at the annex that, we were just, so that while I was out spraying, they could come up here and she was trained to do it. That person's no longer with us. And at this time, they'll just have anybody that wants to come here. If I'm close enough, I'll come meet them here, or otherwise I'll come to their home or anywhere that's convenient for them. But they basically need to get a hold of me and I'll be writing all the vouchers this year. So that's probably the only change. Other than that, what we tried to do last year, we had a meeting with Sean and Jessica helped out, and the lady that we trained that used to work here. We wanted to get a process that's the same every year, because when I started this, because of all the turnover and the time without a noxious weed director, then people were just, when this time of year came up, they were just doing the best they could to figure the program out. And it got done several different ways. Like sometimes people were approaching the vendor or retailer first and purchasing their product, and then we'd have to backdate and do all this different stuff. So anyway, that's why that very first sheet's very important, because we just want to follow those instructions every year, and then it'll kind of get to be just a habit where everybody knows they contact me first, write them a voucher, go to the retailer, and then the retailer will send in to get paid.
How do you know they're using it on a property in Linn County though?
I guess the only way to know would be if I was there to witness it, if we had somebody say that they weren't. But yeah,
So you're turning in on your copy the section and the legal description of the property.
exactly. That's where they're supposed to, yes, it's up to their responsibility to use it properly. And if we were to find out that they weren't, that's why that one portion of the explanation is, if we were to find out that they weren't using it properly or using it in the area that they described, then we wouldn't pay for the cost share part. If we've already paid and they use it later somewhere else, there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
What's the total on our cost share?
It's right in.
The total that we're going to cap it is 30,000.
What was it last year?
Last year, and this is what's interesting. In fact, I wrote that down. And I'll give you at least my opinion on that. So if we go back to 2020, it was 38,514.23. 2021 was 41,198.83. And in 2022, it was just over 7,000. Now, the difference to me on that is whenever it was left to, wasn't really supervised and it wasn't being done according to the Kansas state laws, I'm not saying it got abused necessarily, but it maybe wasn't getting used properly. And maybe people were getting it for uses other than, because a lot of these chemicals that are for noxious weeds will also take care of other, what might be a problem to you. Like if, say for instance, you don't want buckbrush in your pasture. But buckbrush is not a noxious weed, so it wouldn't qualify to get the cost share program. You can treat it, you can purchase the chemicals at full cost and you can treat it, but wouldn't be used under the cost share program. So my suspicion is that maybe a lot of that went on, and that's why when there wasn't someone to actually kind of, for lack of a better word, police the situation or make sure that it was being done properly, maybe it got used that way.
And you feel 30 is a good number?
Right.
You guys good with it? I make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-20, which declares the cap for the noxious weed share program at $30,000.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys have any more questions for me about the cost share program?
No, not about the cost share. Thank you. When do you start spraying and doing all that?
We have already started spraying as far as our roadside spray and county spraying. Basically, this time of year, it's just a hit and miss with we have to follow the label laws for wind and worried about drift and so on. And of course, wet. We don't want to spray ditches if there's water in the ditches. So it's just but we have gotten started, and we look forward to. Last year, we started more on the east and the south and worked our way north. And this year, we've already started over we're going to concentrate more on the west side of the county. We've started up 1077 and going that way. And we start on the main thoroughfare paved roads to begin with. I'd love to spray the entire county, every road we have, but we don't have the budget for that. So we basically start with the main thoroughfare areas and go from there and make the chemicals that we have purchased and that we'll purchase in the future go as far as we can. We also did start because one of the other things that we do later is bare ground spraying on county properties, like parking lots around our fuel tanks. We did, because we had such an issue last year, it was the fuel tank area at the Centerville Fire Station. there's a hill on that backside, and it's the backside of where the fuel tank sits right there. And the Johnson grass just went crazy, but by the time it was a problem brought to my attention, it was far beyond what we could take care of by spraying it. And it's hard to even boom mow because there's big rocks and blocks and stuff they put in there to kind of retain that hill. And so this year we went ahead and started some bare ground spraying early on that, so we got to it before it grows away. So yeah, we've started both facets of the roadside spraying and bare ground spraying.
Sounds like you got a pretty good plan.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Can you speak to them on the purchasing and the chemical prices going down?
Yes, so at the meeting that you were at, Danny, and Sean attended, the monthly noxious weed director meeting that we held out at the trading post, we had a couple of vendors there, and both of them spoke to the fact that in times past, like say COVID time, you may have wanted to buy bulk to get a discount or buy now before it goes up because prices were trending up because the product was harder to get and harder to find. They let us know that at this time that it's going the opposite way, that you'd probably be more beneficial to buy as you need. Because not that it was going to be a huge, like the whole bottom's falling out, but they said if you needed to spend right away, because that's just what your county's used to, or you need to spend your full amount of budget at the beginning of the year, then by all means do it. But if you had opportunity to just buy it as you needed along through the year, you actually will save money because the prices are falling. So that was actually kind of them to pass that on, because as salespersons, I'm sure they just want to do sales, but they're usually pretty honest with us about what's most beneficial to each county, because they're like I said, they attend these meetings and they see what we're doing and trying to accomplish, and they're usually pretty accommodating and giving us that kind of knowledge. So that's the approach that we were going to take this year, was to purchase more as we need it, because a large purchase wasn't going to get any more of a savings. In fact, it may cost us in the end. So.
And that, the reason I asked Tony to talk about that is, as we purchase those in small increments, we're not avoiding a bidding process or a purchasing policy, but we are actually trying to save the county money by buying what we need as we go. So you may see those invoices come in more frequently. We're not trying to avoid anything, we're actually trying to save a little bit of money in the program.
Yeah, that way you didn't look back on it and go, hey, why didn't we buy all at one time and get a bulk purchase discount or something? And that way you already know ahead of time as you see that stuff come in that you understand we're trying to do this program this year. We'll see what happens next year, maybe different.
You're budgeting a drone next year, huh?
Yep.
Thank you,
Johnny.
Yeah. Amanda, are you, I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Are you in a hurry? Are you guys in a hurry? No. You guys want to get Amanda done and get her out of here?
That's fine.
No offense, Amanda. I'll make a motion to go to executive session for personnel for 10 minutes with Amanda at the health department.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sean, or you two, I'll probably call 5.
You get GFL supposed to be here at 10:30. Could be, yes.
Max? Yes. We're running just a little bit behind. So can we get, how long is Todd going to be?
About 5 minutes.
Are you guys good with that?
Yep, no problem.
Okay. And there was no action in executive session. So go ahead and come on up, Todd.
Good morning, Commissioners. Todd Mueller, Asphalt Division. I'm just coming up here to let you guys know what decision we made with what company we're going to go for as far as oil bids go and overlay. From the numbers, we're going to choose Vance Brothers this year for the oil bids for our MC30 and our CRS2P. And for the overlay, we're going to go with Kilo. That's basically it. There's quite a big price difference between Bettis and Kilo this year, so. And if you guys have any questions,
Where was the overlay going to take place at?
it's going to be on Wall Street
Ross?
from 7 Highway to in between Jackson and Ingram, because the road is actually 11 miles. And I'm going to try to overlay half this year and overlay the other half next year.
No, that didn't, do you have to hire another company to do the striping?
Yes.
So you'll need action, I think, to accept those two bids.
Yeah, so if you look back at your bids, the price listed by Kilo was $660, $246.12. And then Vance Brothers, the oil,
$3.49.
$3.49 a gallon on the MC30 and $2.54 a gallon on the CRS2P.
So those were the two lowest bids that we received.
Who did the one out there on Old 69 up there towards Ungenauer Road? Is that Ungenauer?
That's Ungenauer. That was Bettis.
Bettis did it?
Yeah, Bettis. We've used Bettis the last couple of years.
And you had this overlay in your budget, right?
Yes.
What, are you over it or are you under it?
They came in about 20,000 more than what Bettis charged us last year to do that.
Okay, so we were covered.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got it to where it's covered.
You guys got any more discussion about it? When you starting?
I'm going to try to start getting overlay or patching done here pretty quick. I'm just waiting for the weather to decide what it wants to do. They're supposed to start around July 1st. And I talked with a gentleman from Kilo. He came down, actually put eyes on the road and talked to me. And he said he would like to get in and out of here as fast as he can. It'd take him about a week once they get started.
Do we hold retainage or anything on them?
Normally, we just don't pay them till they're done.
What do they get, like a year warranty on it?
Yeah, basically. And we've had to use the warranty with Bettis on a couple of them just because they had a mud flap come off on their truck and they didn't know it, and it came up a little later and they came back and patched the
It
whole
wasn't an
floor.
issue getting them back?
No.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, you need a motion to accept those two bids. One for the oil and one for the overlay.
I'll make a motion that we accept Kilo Construction's bid for the asphalt overlay and Vance Brothers for the oil products.
I'll second. Motion moving second. Any more discussion? I don't have nothing else. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Do I sign this? All right, Max, you wanna come on up and tell us your name and what you're here for, please.
And I so appreciate your time. My name is Max Murray with Waste Corporation, or GFL. GFL came into the picture about November of 2022, but our legal entity that I am with is still WCA, Waste Corporation. So it's kind of a wholly owned subsidiary, I guess. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Max.
I don't know whether just to stomp on it so it won't run away again or what. My apologies. Matt Sanders is here with me today. Matt does all of the landfill stuff. I do the municipal marketing, take care of municipal contracts and such, seek out opportunities, try to take care of the customers. And if you don't mind, I've got a handout I'd like to provide. I know hindsight, we know how we got to this position. We just didn't know we were in this position. What happened, I had sent a preliminary letter to Mr. Lamb explaining about the schedule increase for disposal services at the landfill. And I actually was involved in 2005 when we originally set up the agreements. So I had the form in hand. But basically what has happened over a period of time. Thank you. Things will change in the corporate level regarding pricing that we on the front lines were not aware of. Your agreement has a fixed cost increase every year. We've done real well with that since 2005. I think you've actually used our landfill since the late 90s. So, you've got a good history with us. As far as I know, we have no issue of services or problems or access or anything else. But what I put together was just to give you an idea, and I understand why corporate did it. I just would like to have known about it ahead of time versus coming to heads like this. The Department of Energy with the fuel costs. You're in business, you run trucks, you know what fuel has done to all of us. It's unprecedented what it's done. The increases are just phenomenal. The cost in the consumer price index, which normally our contracts are written with, we look in a crystal ball, what we think the CPI is going to be, and normally we will plug that into our existing contracts, so there's some protection for the customer as well as us. Well, what I did was run a projection of what it's done, and like in 2023, the CPI as of January was 7%. Again, unprecedented. All of these things, corporate, of course, looks at with their financial resources. They kind of go through and divvy out the increases and how much it costs per ton. And what they've done is evidently go into our accounts and spread out those costs. And that's what got us out of sync with what I thought the costs were when I sent Mr. Lamb the spreadsheet showing how they should have changed every year. I believe that is probably the last page that you have. I also made the mistake, since I had the contract, I saw we had to let you know before March the increase was coming and what it was. I didn't key into the fact that it wasn't to be implemented until April 1st, so that was totally my fault. I don't think it's insurmountable to change it for a month, but that one was my bad. But what happened is once I started getting involved, I got Mr. Thompson's letter back, and I thought, well, this is unusual. So our company's kind of compartmentalized. I've got my customers, but I can't really look into a lot of your customer information. And it's just kind of an arm's length thing from sales versus accounting. They don't want sales dabbling in the accounting. So what happened is when I started going back and trying to find out why there was an issue, come to find out that starting in 2022, corporate has started putting some of these fees in, which were then paid. It was unknown to us at that time. In fact, if we hadn't got the letter back from the attorney, I wouldn't have caught it, because that's not the numbers I can see when I run the reports that I deal with. So what has happened, the charges have changed over what they really should have been for the contract period for over a year.
It looks like $8 to $9, right? Is that what?
Well, to give you, for instance, if you look from April 30th, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, basically everything was billed at $28.90 per ton, but that's about $350 more than what I figured it should have been according to your contract. Now, the next year, from 2022 to 2023, is billed at $35.29 per ton, again, which was more, $6 or so more than what I had anticipated it would be according to our agreement. In a nutshell, what Matt and I have come to ask, we would like to continue our contract at the end of the term. It goes through 2025. We feel like we can put things back in sync where they should be the rate wise, and offer the county a 2,000 per month credit for these charges that have been paid in the past. So, that effectively lowers your net cost. I didn't put a figure to the net cost, but $2,000 a month. We've got about 2 years left on the contract, I believe. So, easily we will be able to compensate the commission for those fees that we think should not have been put in.
So let me give, you're proposing a $2,000 a month credit for the remainder of the term.
Yes.
So 24 months, is that what it is?
I'm sorry. Until this,
Balance is paid.
yeah, until it balances out.
That wasn't what you said, so I.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like the other deal better.
But it's a way that we can, compensate you all for the overpayments.
What is that total balance? Do you know?
Total overpay I've got shows $23,579.54. Matt and I have been working on this ever since this came to light and trying to figure out, okay.
About the letter from Mr. Thompson here for sure, because Titan, we don't get to choose what corporate does, unfortunately, with their rates, and we didn't know if they were overbilling you. I mean, honestly, we just didn't catch it. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I still think it says they're made, but I didn't put two and two together with the rate. I want to back up and say that we've had a long-term great relationship with you guys. We don't have any problems that I'm aware of. And whoever from the sanitation is doing a great job. You guys do a great job when they get on site. We don't have any problems. Hopefully we can continue to work together for a long time. So I think we've been coming since that landfill opened probably in '94, be my guess. But exactly, I came out there in '99. I've been down there since '99. I'm just trying to help you, and we'll see if we can get this taken care of.
From my standpoint, it should not have happened. Obviously, it did, and it was paid, and then it's been. When we say overcharge, I understand the extra costs the company is facing. Cell construction is probably quadruple of what it used to be. Right, as yours are. It just that when we. Right. When we did the contract, we
would like to make it up to you. I think that's what helps us most is if we could do it on a credit. And if that's doesn't work for you, then by all means, let us know, because that's something we're just proposing. We can work that out.
Is corporate aware of this compromise, or are they going to be?
We have had conversations with the banks as, and they told us to get in front of you guys and try to make it right. So,
and that discussion is how I was able to come up with about a $2,000 a month credit versus getting a lump sum credit that would really move the financial needle at the landfill. So this is the way we get your money back to you, but we do it in a scheduled manner, and we put everything back in place where it should be. And I apologize for the paperwork, but I just wanted you to understand how it got there.
Right.
We didn't see it. We didn't know it. I don't get to push the buttons, but believe me, when the train jumps track, guess who catches you know what?
a little bit of history there. You got to start counting. That's like changed hands several times. It was USA Waste, the Waste Management, and then all the WCA in the fall of 2000. And then recently, like Mike said, when it was WCA for the longest time, we were operating in about 6 or 9 states with about 1,300 employees total. And now we're operating in not all of them, but the greater from the Midwest back to the East, and then out of Toronto and
23, 24 states.
So we got like, there's like 30,000 employees.
Right.
So It went from being a relatively small corporation to a kind of a monster, like it's the fourth largest trash.
So is a 10-year lease typical for you guys, or do you guys usually do 10 years?
Contract? Yeah, 10 to 15 is pretty common for us on some of these municipality types. But we've had something in place, yeah. Renewed and renewed again.
The other thing is, I mean, keep in mind, you're sending the waste to the same landfill you've used, like Matt said, for many, many years. It kind of limits your liability spreading out between other landfills. You're going to then pick up liability from someone else having used it. Whereas with us, it's self-contained. We're in charge of it. We're running it. Matt operates it. We feel, confident about the materials going into it. So we're not worrying about it. Subtitle D landfill, run to spec. We've got a great KDHE relationship. So, all of that is positive. I think we're 45 miles distance, give or take, from here, right. So some of the sites are going to be closer.
So I think your cans are kind of spread out throughout the county, yes.
Yes.
But we just felt it was the best thing we could do to try to find a way to put this money back into your coffers without having a lot of corporate battles.
And if we did continue with the terms of the agreement.
The breach of contract.
Would we just continue on? I mean, how would we do that with the rest of the contract here to the next 2 years?
What they're proposing, or what this proposal is, that we continue the same contract till it runs out.
Right,
So there wouldn't be any change other than they would be
This
giving you
rebate.
this rebate.
right.
So your increases over the next 2 years, there'd be one more increase at April of 2024,
3%.
3%. And,
Your credit would be like funding statement credit, not sending a check back to it.
Correct.
That is
It simply be applied to your account.
actually works better for our costs that way than getting a check.
Right.
Just for our budget works.
Well, again, we're sorry it even happened. It was quite a surprise.
But we do appreciate the opportunity as well.
Would you guys got any more questions for him? Jason, Jim?
Right now.
I don't.
We appreciate you. I think we'll probably take a little bit and discuss it and
Okay.
go around our options. I appreciate you putting this together. It helps a lot.
Absolutely. If I might leave my cards, just.
Yeah.
Here's where, when I get reminded, okay, it's GFL, not WCA.
Thank you.
Share with the group, either way.
I'll be fine.
Man, I use my cards.
Now, I got one.
But we do appreciate your time, and please feel free to give us any call, either Matt or I.
If it doesn't work out for you, then, I mean, we're not still negotiable, but I think it's kind of what works out best for us and hopefully for you as well, but we're not saying we're not guilty, but we appreciate the opportunity to make it right.
Well, we appreciate that. That means a lot. So thanks for coming in and be safe on your way home, and we'll
Okay.
definitely be in contact with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
It's something we would just kind of look at and review next, or discuss next week,
Probably a good idea to,
compare and contrast and figure out a plan.
yep,
See if they'll go to 2%.
or give you 24 months.
What was the rate in Iowa?
Hang on.
23,
27.
27?
And we're at 29 here, right?
35, 29.
Well, that's what they were actually charging. That's not.
29,
Oh,
69.
29, 69, yeah. Sorry. Too many numbers.
And Iola's how far from the furthest point in the county, do you know?
Closer as far as.
It's all here in our study.
where we are right here, it'd be pretty.
So our aggregate miles to Iola is 368. Our aggregate miles to Crawford County is 448. From each one of our collection sites. And kind of back into what we were talking about with if we took all of our compactor trash and reloaded it into the semi at Linn County Transfer Station, it would be 219 miles from there for a round trip from each one of our compactor sites. That's where they're figuring in our gain as far as what we're spending. Pfefferkorn said we would save 54,000 annually by switching to Allen County.
That's with the 35 per ton, right? Is that what he was calculating?
Correct.
That's why I would suggest if they gave you 2 years, that'd be 48, that'd be almost that much.
They're not gonna give us 2 years back.
They're negotiable, they want to keep you.
You really think so?
You should try. I tried with the gravel, it didn't work. So I guess that's something to think about. We can try to make a decision next week on it.
I mean, there may be other reasons. I'm just saying, if it's
We
just
don't
dollars
have
and
to,
cents,
we don't have to take them a certain amount of tonnage each year or anything like that.
you know.
Anything else you want to add to this while we're talking about it? We'll continue on with discussion next Monday.
Yep.
Try to make a decision on it. Gary, you good with that?
Yep.
David? John?
This last week, we delivered signs to Holiday Lake to help them out with some illegal dumping and issues at their control site that we are not a part of, but we tried to join in and help by delivering some signs to them to try to control the illegal dumping and at the area. We also contacted Allie Hamilton. Signs were put up for the Masker site, and we've ordered the Trading Post city limit sign, and I'm working on the Military Road sign, and at that point, we should have all of those things resolved. Blue Mound Senior Center, we've turned in the documents and asked that they get started on the installation on that air unit down there, so that whenever it's installed, we'll get reimbursed for a percentage of that. Jessica took care of coordinating that with Area on Aging and Weber and got that pushed through, so we're just waiting on the installation. I need 15 minutes for going to be land acquisition and
For the acquisition of real estate.
5 for personnel, non-elected personnel.
And I need 5 for probably legal for codes and include Darren and Sean. I'll make a motion that we go in the executive session for a total of 15 minutes, 5 with Sean for land accusation, 5 for
Is that what you asked for?
I think you want 15 for.
Oh, you want, oh, sorry.
So 25 total.
Go ahead and tell me what you need again. 15 for land and
5 personnel.
then I needed 5 for legal with Darren and Sean both, so total of 25 minutes. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don, do you have anything else for us?
No. We have a workshop scheduled on building.
Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Let me take care of, or did you already do it?
Oh, there's not, no, I haven't done it yet. I'd like to make a motion to, we've been dealing with the elderly center in Pleasanton, and I'd like to make a motion that, to purchase 602 Main Street, which is the old, the address 602 Main Street in Pleasanton, which is the old Mima's, for the price of $73,000.
Plus all closing costs and everything.
Which we don't have any closing costs, will we?
Well, there would be some costs, but not, we wouldn't, let's see, what would we have? Do we want title insurance? If we did, we'd be having to pay for it. I would say we would.
What's the point of title insurance?
Well,
Sorry, that's
we, at the very least, we would want to have a title search done
yes.
to make sure the title is truly clear. I mean, that'd probably cost $250 just to have a title search done.
And then you're gonna have a little bit for filing the deed.
Yeah, so it'd be a little bit, so you're probably talking, $300 or $400 total, max.
So
Do we want to include selling the other
I
existing?
was thinking, should I do what would be a good motion, Gary? I guess we'll restart this. Should we include the $12,000 estimate we had to repair the building? Or should that be a separate motion, you think?
I think that's pretty, you're all clear it's gonna cost at least that to repair it, but I don't think you want to include it in this purchase motion.
Okay, so do we need to do a purchase and then we do a allowance for that and then we do another one to liquidate the current?
That would be the cleanest, don't you think, David?
Yeah. And are we sure on the 12? Or is that just
I think that's just an estimate.
at this point?
And I think, I think that's probably a high estimate. I think we could probably,
Let's see, what I have so far is you've made the motion to purchase with us covering the closing costs, fees, et cetera.
Okay.
and then purchase from 73,000, that would, that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 2-1. And we'll be, a closing date in the middle of May is kind of what we discussed.
Get a contract put together.
And then I'd also like to make a motion that we,
Start the process to sell.
we start the process to sell the current elderly center there in Pleasanton, which is it's kind of a process, right, Gary?
Yes, it involves, having passing a resolution. I don't know if I think I went through this last time, but you have a resolution. What did I do with it? There we go. That is passed by unanimous vote of the commissioners. Then we publish notice of the sale 3 consecutive weeks. The notice has to contain certain information. And then we have to wait 45 days to give time for a protest petition. If there's a protest petition signed by 2% of the electorate, then we have to put it up to a vote. If not, then sale.
So do we want to do how do we want to do it?
I think you probably want to do, just sealed bids.
Sealed bids, do we put a reserve on it?
I think you always reserve the right. I think you would want to always
State the
reserve.
price we think, or?
No.
Huh?
Do we state the price?
No, I don't think so. I think you just reserve the right to reject all bids if they're not high enough.
So I'll make a motion that we we start the process, which Gary stated, to sell the current elderly building in Pleasanton. And then I guess that'll include accepting the bids at the end. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Didn't give him a chance to vote.
Sorry.
Get in discussion.
Give me a chance to vote.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-1, or 3-0, sorry.
Okay.
I think should we just wait on the estimate?
I think so.
Yes.
We'll let him get out and then we can go over there. We'll make the final decision on what we want to do with the building.
I think that would be the thing to do, but
And,
you got,
yeah, don't you think? I think we'll wait on that.
I do.
You good with that?
Fun.
All right. I think that's it on that. Darren, now you ready? You want to come up here and sit so you don't have to stand?
So, I sent out, I think David sent to everybody, copies last week of different ideas of different types of codes, different types of inspections that could be implemented. Did all of you get those?
Yes.
So the purpose of the workshop that I would like to see is a direction from the commission to move forward to put something into place, or me stop searching for stuff to put in place. So,
Do you have a list of things that want to put in place?
well.
Talk about?
Well, I mean, like in my deal, I talked about a full set of building codes. A lot of people use the IRC, the International Residential Code. Most places use 2018. You don't have to adopt the whole code book. You can pull sections out of that to adopt. Also, we had talked in the past about final inspections. You can do it in a few different aspects. You can do, like for egress and ingress, you can check foundations. I mean, there's a list of stuff that you can do.
How would we police that?
So I think if we started small, I could manage the inspections until we adopted. There's no way that I could keep up with a full building code. And what I've looked into is maybe, and I haven't got pricing on that, is maybe not a part-time person, but a contract person that has a license to do inspections. And we could hire him to, because there may be only one inspection a week or one inspection a month if we adopted a full code book. That way you're looking at electrical, mechanical, plumbing, framing, foundation, everything.
So Gary, if we say we adopted an entire code book like that, and if something happened to the electrical when we approved it, would that come back on us and our codes?
no, that's, no, as a rule, that's not the case. If we were obviously negligent in the way we inspected it, I suppose there could be some liability.
Would you have to go to classes to get certified and all that stuff?
So the IRC offers classes. They're online. You take a test online. I think it's about $400 to do it all for me to get licensed, and I can do it at my own time, at my own pace. If we adopted something before then, like I said, we could find somebody to do the inspections until I got licensed.
The only place in the county that has you mentioned this already, that has codes already in place is Linn Valley. They have the full code.
They've got a full code. Mound City is
Discussing it.
they've either adopted it or they're discussing it.
So right now, we just do fountain.
Only on modular homes,
Why is that and
I don't know the answer to that.
we don't do basement foundations? Just
No, only modular homes,
Mobile homes? Or
mobile homes, manufactured.
Yeah, I've talked to contractors and everybody. I don't have anybody that's in favor of myself.
I'm truthfully not in favor. I think we should have something, but
what about even the final inspection? Is that a non-starter for you guys as well? That we're going out there and making sure that they built what they said they were gonna build?
Well,
And
we
we're-
do that when we appraise it, and when the appraisal goes out, so we.
during the
So-
build, the final, you can go inside and stuff, right?
So on a final inspection, even if you don't even have to look at anything, from my understanding, you can set up a final inspection just based on the building permit to go out and make sure that they built what they said that they were gonna build. To answer your question, as of now, we give them a building permit. They build, it may be 3 years before the appraiser gets out there, and they didn't even build what they said they were gonna build. The appraisers found numerous ag buildings that have 3 and 4 bedrooms in it, full kitchen. I mean, they're living in it. And that's,
So right now, we give out a building permit, but we don't go back and check it when the building permit's up.
no,
Correct.
I think that's probably something we have to do, wouldn't it be? I mean, would you guys feel? At least to do that?
That's how I feel.
I don't, as a contractor myself, it'd be really hard. Miami County is really hard to do work in. I'm just gonna say that right now. I won't hardly do work there.
A lot of contractors in Linn County won't go to Miami County.
I'm one of them. But here, we're already slim pickings. I feel like if we police it too much, it's gonna cause us an even bigger headache. But I don't know why we have crawl space foundation, but not a basement. That's weird to me.
right. Right,
And that's the only really one we inspect.
that's it. Well, sanitation. So on a final
So, and
inspection,
like the reason that they were probably having it on a manufactured home, mobile home was they were just putting hay bales around them, or
well,
What?
in our code, we inspect the footings, make sure it's got rebar in it, so it's not just concrete in the ground.
not cinder blocks.
It's gotta be so many, it's gotta be frost footing deep. Then you come back and inspect, make sure they've got tie downs, so that if in high winds, the building can't move. And then you inspect, well, we really don't inspect the foundation, because the foundation on a mobile home doesn't support anything. It's all supported from the footing.
But we don't, I mean, do we pull, like on it, you're talking about the footings, we don't pull a core sample or anything like that?
Nope.
That's weird to me, because I mean, if you put a lot more sand in it, because you don't want to buy the Portland, it's gonna be way weaker, and that doesn't make sense to me why we do that.
Right.
What we're doing, frankly, is making sure that they've got a footing, that they just don't set it on the ground or on a.
I'm just here.
How do you feel about it? You're out there doing an inspection right now. How do you feel? I think we do have to have something where at least if we do a building permit, we should go out and inspect at the very end of the date that their building permit's over, because that helps with our county taxes of a building.
Right.
I mean,
Right. And we also know that the building's completed, because the building permit's only good for a year, but we never know if it's completed or not. It may take them 3 years to build it, which they're supposed to come
Why
and
could you
do
just
that.
not make it to where they're responsible at the end of the year to tell us it's done?
Because, I mean, in theory, they are, but if they don't, what do you do, see?
well, can we put a consequence in place if if you build without a building permit? Do we have something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, we do have that.
And do we
If we ever find out about it.
If we catch people building without a building permit, it's the cost of the permit double.
So what if they didn't even pull a building permit? They just went out there and we didn't find it for 3 years. We just charge them what?
Well, we
Building
have,
permit double.
right.
You know, in some of those cases, we've been able to go back and collect some taxes for prior years, but there's limits, I think, on how far you can go back,
Was there a limit on how much you can put on it?
how much.
You can charge for the repercussion of not pulling a building permit?
But I mean, isn't the best option to do the final inspections and just eliminate that part? That way we're signing off that it has been completed or it hasn't.
No, yeah, I think we definitely should do that and have to go back at the very end.
But I'm just saying that that'll kind of, will that not eliminate, that'll eliminate them dragging it out forever. I mean, if they're still doing it without a building permit,
What's your final inspection? What are you gonna do as far as?
what's it proposed?
Well, in your packet that I sent, there's a list that we could inspect.
I mean, you can go inside if you're building a dwelling, you can go inside of it, can't you?
Correct. And you can go in and check, make sure doorways are handicap accessible. You can go in and inspect ventilation on foundations or foundations. Or like I said, you can just go in and inspect and see that they built what they said they're gonna build.
I'd be more about that. I don't think that I'd want to place a handicap door. I mean, you know, how do you guys feel?
I'm good with where we're at, so.
Yeah, I think,
I lean more toward the final inspection and, starting with a small step as far as not making it where we're just inspecting to make sure that they're doing what they said they're doing on the permit.
I think the final inspection at the very end of their project is a must, really. I mean,
Do we want to do a foundation inspection? Because like I said, you're doing it for a mobile
why would you
home.
why would you do a foundation? You're not gonna do electrical. You're not gonna do,
Where do you stop? Where
do you stop? I don't know. Can we put some limitations on our building permits? Like, hey, if there's bare wire sticking out of your wall whenever we come inspect it, I mean, that's common sense type stuff, but.
What I had talked with Darren about is just, we would make a regulation that they have to have a certificate of final occupancy. That if they're going to do a final inspection, you go out, you look it over. If you see anything that looks like a health or safety hazard, you refuse to grant them the certificate of occupancy.
And then like we have them go out and find a contractor to come in and approve it.
Yeah.
Would that be ordinary to do? I mean,
Yeah.
you make them take care of it and we come back and say, we need proof that it's taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
by a certified person?
If you want to go that far, I mean, that's.
You go that far, then who's gonna certify it?
Well, we'll leave that on the, I guess when you have your buddy do it, but I mean.
Well, you can also tie in sanitation, because when we do a sanitation inspection, it's only from the outside of the house to the lateral field. You can tie in sanitation to, is all the gray water hooked up and going to the tank? And you're not dumping gray water on the ground. I mean, there's so many things that you can incorporate into that. And that's what I'm asking, is what direction to go. If we just leave it at a final inspection, does it match the building permit? You get a certificate of occupancy, I can turn it into the appraiser, and then the appraiser can do what she needs to do as far as taxes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like that it's weird that we inspect a footing, but not like electrical or.
I think the real reason for that was to make sure that people actually had a footing and that they were actually tying down the trailer. It was more a safety thing than anything. I think that's what.
I think so
Let's
too.
go to the basement wall, not putting up rebar in it and caving in. I've been doing that all over Linn County.
Once you start, where do you stop?
You know, there's no egress windows on any basements around here. I think that that's something that I personally wouldn't want to. I mean, if they don't put a foot in, then the thing blows away. They just lost a lot of money. Sorry. I mean, I don't know how we can police that, but not an electrical or egress windows in your basement for safety and things like that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm good with where we're at.
So you want to keep the foundation
Stay where
inspection?
we're at if we want. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people and I've had anybody yet to tell me that they want more regulations.
I don't want any more. I think we should do
But
away
for
with
in our comprehensive plan.
Yeah, comprehensive plan, page 38D41 shows that Linn County's in favor of some type of building code.
Now, are those homeowners or are those renters?
Yeah.
What could we do?
Who was that, our comprehensive plan stuff? It was,
They went everywhere. I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying, I think it was citizens for the most part. It wasn't, it was concerned citizens. Renters aren't usually that concerned.
so let's do this. Why don't we have a special meeting and an evening and we invite the entire community to come out and just talk about building codes and get their opinion. We don't have to give them ours. We can just take in the opinions and then we make a decision. How do you guys feel about that?
We already did that with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, but I'm just focused right on the codes alone.
Well, and I'm saying that we're not putting in building codes, we're doing a final.
Once you start them, you'll continue putting them on there. I think once we start, we won't stop.
I mean, me as a contractor, I'm against it, but as a commissioner of what
Well, I know that Miami County cut out a bunch of their codes because it was so hard to build there. They had so many.
Possible.
I don't even do work there.
Well, they had so many complaints and building went down that they pulled some of their codes out.
It's hard to do anything up there. Even in the right of ways.
I think we should be doing a final inspection because I think that, I think we should be making sure that they're building what they're saying they're building, that we should be getting it on the tax roll appropriately as, if somebody turns in on their building permit that they are putting in living quarters and they're paying a full tax on it from the get-go, and somebody is skirting that, we're doing a disservice to that person that is paying their share. And that's why I think the final inspection associated with the building permit to make sure that they're building what they said they were going to build is important.
I agree with that. I would be in favor of a final inspection. I think that would help with a lot of heartache for our appraiser and her getting yelled at by a lot of people.
And all you're really doing on this inspection you're talking about is looking to see, they said they're building a 3-bedroom house. Did they build a 3-bedroom
So
house?
you're gonna go inside the house and inspect everything there.
No, you're going, I don't think you're going to look at it. I don't know.
I think you're just going to say, hey, you said you're going to do a 3-bedroom on a concrete slab, and that's what you have there, and that's what you see. I don't think we don't have competent people that's certified to go out and say, hey, your windows are not properly installed, or you're
Right, and that's what I'm getting at, is you're going out to, you're only there to look to see that they built.
Your
what they
description
said.
said a slabbed house with 4 rooms with a concrete driveway, and that's all we look at.
And then a certificate of occupancy is issued, which says you did what you said you're gonna do. County signed off on it, and it's going to the appraiser, a completed project.
Right.
I agree with that, and I think on the building codes,
And so, Tim, why can't we just stop there?
You'll see what happens. Once you start, you won't stop.
well, that's up to
Somebody will come back and want more.
Well, I think people will always want more, but it's governed by the county to where to stop.
Right. I think it's a start. I don't think we're jumping to be Miami County. I don't think that's where we're
You go to
headed.
Johnson County, you put a piece of sheetrock through your door and someone sees it, they're asking what you're doing. And
Place your stove or anything.
they are on you like stink. It's bad.
Right.
But I think that I'm in favor of the final occupancy.
Inspection, certificate of occupancy.
Yeah. And I think that me personally, because if you guys were in favor of putting codes in or deleting them or whatever, I'd probably call just a public meeting with my district in Pleasanton probably and get their input, because this ain't just my choice, and me personally, I'm against it, but I want to keep my opinion, and I don't want to just make a decision on my opinion. I'd like to have my community, so. That's what I would do if we were gonna do some kind of more add codes or delete them, so.
And if you want to do that, I'm willing, I can go to whatever workshops you guys want to set up.
I don't think we're at the position where we're gonna be voting in building codes at this point. So
Right.
I think that would just be added work for Darren that isn't gonna result in
And
us moving forward.
added stir in the community too, that you really
Correct.
don't need.
Correct, because I mean, you know, Jim, to your point, I'm not in favor of adding building codes. Well, this is as far as I'm willing to go. You know, I'm not saying that we won't have people come and ask for more, but like Darren said, we are the end all here. You know, we can keep it where it is if that's what we choose to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if it is something that we were gonna decide on, I would let my majority in my community make that decision, because I don't.
What do you need on the final inspection? Are you gonna prepare a?
Yeah, we'll get something prepared. We'll have to have a regulation that requires an inspection before you can occupy. And we'll have to spell out what that inspection entails, so people will have a reasonable expectation of what they're.
And we'll give them that when they apply for their building permit.
Yeah.
So that they know what they're gonna have to
So
comply
you're not
with.
gonna let them move in till you okay it, then, is what you're saying. Nobody's gonna be living there till you okay it.
I mean, why else would you pull a building permit though?
I'm just saying, so you're gonna stop all occupancy until it's done. You're considering it 100% done.
But what's the point of, I don't understand, what do you think a point of a building permit is then if we don't check at the very end?
I'm just asking,
We're just trying
I'm
to-
asking where you're gonna
I think we
stop
have to-
at. You're gonna make
Right now,
sure.
we're just saying, hey, you guys can build here, give me some cash, but we're not doing our duty, I don't believe. I mean, that's my opinion.
Who's gonna decide, I guess, is what my question is when it's completed. Are you just gonna wait till it's completed before they can have an occupancy is what I'm saying?
Well, some counties have temporary occupancy. You can do, as long as they've got running water, bathroom, and I think a kitchen. Flooring doesn't have to be done. Walls have to be complete, electrical has to be complete, plumbing has to be complete. And they can get most counties give a temporary occupancy on that. Once you get it complete, you've got to come back and get the final occupancy.
I mean, most counties, you know, if you're an electrician, you gotta go to the county and pull, like Wyandotte, I know I have to have a masonry contractor license through the county. I mean, but I'm in favor of the final inspection, but I'm not in favor of continuing on with the footings. Like, if we're only doing a double wide or a.
That may be required by state law, is it? Yeah.
So
Manufactured home.
So are we doing basements too? I mean, because they have footings.
That's not state mandated.
That's not.
I don't understand that. That's unfair to any mason, contractor, or concrete guy. I mean, but the electrical's not mandated?
No, there's state code, but they don't require every jurisdiction to adopt anything as of now.
That's crazy. I'm kind of biased because that's the kind of stuff I do, and I'm like, why? You know, so
I understand. So me and you'll work on something.
Well, as long as have a clear idea of what they want prepared and.
What percent, what I'm saying is where we're gonna, the occupancy part of it, where you're gonna allow that, is what I'm saying. Because there's some people start off and close them up and move into them.
well, when they have running
So where are
water,
you gonna, where are you
Well, I
gonna?
think if they've got sanitation, running water and electrical,
We better state this all and what we're
Yeah,
doing.
that's what I say.
I think you get us a rough draft. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
continue on. You get us a rough draft. There'll be details.
Maybe instead of thinking of it as a final inspection, you think of it as an occupancy inspection. Is it fit to occupy? I don't know. I mean, because it could well be fit to occupy before it's finally done. That's what Jim's saying, I think.
Well, I mean, it just depends what that person thinks is fit to, I mean, if he's got running water and things.
Well, we'd be looking at is safety and health. That's all we care about, really, or should be. And then getting it on the tax roll.
Right.
Yeah, we'll work on something.
Okay.
Thank you, Darren.
What are you thinking, a couple of weeks, Gary?
That'd probably be realistic, yeah.
Okay, and get the foundation off the inspection.
Need me for anything else, commissioners?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Thank you, Gary.
So next week we'll make a. Gary, will you have us details and stuff? Will you give us your opinion on the two contracts or with the landfill? Or what do you- I mean,
I'll give you some analysis on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll make a decision on that next week.
I'm not gonna give you the opinion, I'll give you the analysis.
Give us your thoughts.
So on the agenda, I think, solid waste contract / fees for next week. Also have Dr. Allen's gonna come in next week to talk about their STARS program, just some updates, I think, there. I don't know what else you want to get into next. One of the things we've had on here for a while is plans for county buildings. And like I said, we've done nothing with like the appraisers moving or any of the stuff over there, and we really need to at least have some discussion about that soon to figure out what we're gonna do or how we'd like to do it.
You guys want to discuss that next week as a big ticket item?
That'd be fun.
Good with that?
Yes.
To get some direction on what we want to look at anyway.
Has Randy looked at any of those? Does anybody know? Has he?
He's looked at them.
Has he
I think,
briefly went through them? Does he need to be here next week? Or can we ask him to be here? Is it beneficial to have him here or not?
It may be beneficial to have him here. Our last conversation was doing the subcontractors under him. And he went out and priced some materials that needed done, did some demolition for us over there.
Tore some out.
Yeah, so it may be beneficial to have him just come in and tell you who he wants to bring in as subcontractors and which parts he's going to start on next.
To just make sure we're all on the same page and what we want, make sure it's suitable. And
I would think that would be a suitable update, and then we can have any discussion on any other buildings we needed to have at that time.
okay, what about the Linn County Park stuff? The mineral house, the lagoon, the beach. Ever got anywhere on that?
We are in discussions with Evergy about the docks. We've had some favorable discussions with them, also about them signing off on partnership on grants. And then we've started to look at some of those grants, but we're going to have to get on the discussion of the rental house. And I need to talk to David about, we've also had some donors want to donate to the dock project, maybe as a matching type fund to what Evergy would do. So I need to get with him about how that process works.
What about the swimming? I mean, we've been talking about it, and summer's coming. I mean, can we do a temporary swim site for people, or I mean?
This is going to be something that we have to engineer and then get approved by Wildlife and Parks and Evergy on our engineering for erosion control and safety. So that part of the project is going to have to be a little longer term than just cutting a beach in.
So is Sherry going to have to police people? I mean, because talk has been in the newspaper about swimming's been approved out there. It's in the contract. They can do it. So is she going to be telling people they can't swim when they're swimming? I mean,
I don't believe so, because it's been pretty clear that they approved coming to them with a plan. They didn't approve a plan or approve swimming there. What they approved is us coming back to sit down and
propose a plan to them in wildlife and parks. We don't have approval for swimming at this time. We've got their consent to sit down and look at a plan and get both of their approvals on a plan. So they haven't denied it, but they haven't approved it yet.
And we sent the stuff out on the rental house and things that way out for bid. And we opened those bids, correct?
Yes, and we have the numbers on that. I would hope possibly, depending on what I get on the bridging and things this week, possibly looking at numbers with David and trying to find some funding mechanisms and getting started on that project, but I honestly haven't got there yet.
Okay.
And the UTVs, is that we have to give them a plan to do that too, or are they riding them there now?
No, we can do UTVs on roadways in the park under our guidance. It's just a policy change on the manual.
I just feel like that some of things are gonna be an issue for the employees up there this year.
We haven't in the past, but we'll take a look. If we have to mark it or post it, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Do we have money set aside for the buildings, or how's that transpiring? Is that something we need to be thinking about, looking at?
We need to figure out what kind of money we're talking about, what we want to spend. We've got some that can be used toward that. I don't know if it's going to cover everything we want to do.
Like that lake house, or the house.
We didn't-
I'm not worried about that.
Oh, you're talking about this. Oh, sorry.
We don't have any money set for that lake house.
No, I'm not talking about the lake house. I jumped, I'm sorry, back over to our buildings.
We were expecting some over here.
We had
It's not like a
I'm
separate
just-
budget that's just for that, but we do have some money available.
Okay, I'm just thinking that we need to,
Can we utilize
Kinda
that
know.
change order we just signed, the 46,000 over there, since it was voted on?
Well, that would be some additional income that could go toward that.
That'd be nice.
It'll help.
It'll help a lot.
be a start.
But I know when we get into that discussion, I think, at least like the building I was looking at for some things, I'm not sure that was gonna work out the way we wanted it to after Randy looked at it, so it's one of the things I wanna talk about next week.
Okay.
So we,
Judicial building.
Well, the old attorney building, because we talked about me using that for my election stuff, and from what I remember on his initial deal, it sounded like that might be cost prohibitive to do enough work on that to make it worthwhile.
The trailer,
Yeah. But that's some of the stuff I'd like to talk about too and figure out what we can do.
so we
Okay.
throw out the plans of what we're all on the same page, and then see
Yep.
what he has to say about it, and see if it's feasible.
right? Okay.
You guys got anything else?
I don't know.
Anybody, Jessica? There's no visitors today, huh? All right, well, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Second.